Okay, so this is our Webquest about action verbs, and basically by the end of this, what I hope to do is be able to have you realize different ways that you can use action verbs in your daily life, and just see the difference in how they can enhance the way you describe things and describe a sentence or a story or an event by using action verbs compared to regular verbs and irregular verbs. So this is our introduction page, and this should just give you a briefing and kind of get you more in the mode of what we will be talking about. Um, this video right here, you can click on that and it'll lead you to a link on YouTube. And this is just a fun, cute video from Schoolhouse Rock on how they can enhance what is going on in the event. So you can watch that, and then again, what the point of this webcast is for you to challenge yourself and see what you normally go to for verbs and sentence structure and how you can change it up a little bit through what we learned through this webquest. It also has our standards here, and that by the end of it, you should be writing sentences that use the past tense of frequently occurring irregular verbs, along with understanding the functions of different types of verbs. So that if we go into our task page, this is where the good chunk of your project and assignment will be held. So with this, you'll watch the Schoolhouse Rock video to kind of introduce you to the different types of verbs. And then what I want you guys to be able to do is create any sort of story. It could be a story about what you do on a daily basis, or make up an imaginary person, or any sort of event. And you're going to write out the story, but write it out using very non-descriptive basic verbs or linking verbs when you are writing it. And then on another piece of paper, a couple different papers actually, add drawings and animations, do sketches of what's going on in the story, but keep it very to the point, strictly what these sentences are saying. And this will make some more sense as we move on. You can also do the option of taking pictures of your storyline and taking pictures of the images you draw if you want to enhance the project and move on further with technology purposes. Your third task is to then just change the verbs of your story to action verbs. So if you have a sentence that says, Tim is in his bed, you would change is into Tim sleeps in his bed. And what that should do, by just changing just the verbs of your story to action verbs, that would have to cause you to redraw the images, because now instead of just having Tim laying in his bed doing nothing, we know that he's sleeping, and so there's a different animation to the image. What would be best is to take pictures of this as well, take pictures of the differences. You don't have to, as long as you can present the differences between the sentences in the drawings with the regular verbs and the sentences in the drawings with the now enhanced action verbs. By completing this, you will be able to just have a wider spectrum of tools that you can use with this project. So then, if we go to our process page, this also gives you kind of a breakdown on just the details. Here's the example that I gave you guys before, and that will give you kind of an idea of how to change this up. Also try to change up the order of the subject and predicate, and see what that does for your story. See if that adds a little more enhancement to it and doesn't just keep to the redundancy of it. Here's another video too to give you more little ideas of how it can change. And I won't play all of it for you, but you can see a bunch of different examples of action verbs. So during this, you need to be thinking about what kind of verbs do you usually use when you're telling someone about your day, when you're talking about what happened to your friend, when you're writing a story, when you're answering questions. What kind of verbs are you using, and how can you add more detail by just changing one verb? You can also see how they replace linking verbs with this link here. I believe that should be yes. This gives you kind of a briefing on it. This is a little more reading, so maybe if you want to go over this with your parents. However, there are some charts like this. This should give you a good idea. Here's a similar set of examples to what I gave you guys before. And this is actually keeping the same verb, but describing more with the predicate, which is very interesting, and you can see how that affects the sentence. So we'll go back. So again, here's our process page, and it tells you by the end what you should have done. And what we're going to do is when you have your two sets of stories, it's the same story but with different verbs and different drawings. You're going to be presenting this through uploading images and coordinating a video, or presenting your images and text in person. That is up to your discretion and what you have available to you, but it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt to be creative with it. So on your evaluation page, this will be your rubric. It's a little small here, but if you go through it, it's based off coherence, creativity, and quality. As long as you're clearly demonstrating that you can show the difference, and there's a clear, evident way that there is a difference in the images and the sentences you do before and the images and sentences you do after you added the action verbs, you should be set with coherence. Creativity really just matters with showing the amount of effort you put into making your project different, or making your storyline different, or just basically using diverse verbs. If you're changing every action verb to sleep and eat for 10 sentences, that's not as much creativity as it is to make it sleep, walk, run, jump, play, something like that. Much more creativity. Also displaying more effort in the way to present the project. Like I said, you can do this through technology, or if you just want to present it on a poster board or be able to show your images in person, as long as they're pretty well colored, which this goes into quality. But having organization, making it clear that you planned this out and you knew what you were doing, and you didn't scratch this up the night before, along with having enough color in there and just really showing the difference and making your animations come alive, especially when the action verbs are added. And then our conclusion page, this will be once you've finished, and this is also a good way to check that you did everything right and that you achieved the minimal requirements and goals. So this kind of gives you an overview of what you should have done by the end of it. And once you're done and we present these, if you ever want to go back to review, there's more practice beyond the requirements at this website here, and that is, I believe, this one. And it's got a bunch of different worksheets and answers, so you can print them off at home, practice with your parents, lots of different options with that.